Hi, and welcome to episode 5. Today we're going to discuss...
We're going to discuss two major events.
Okay.
The first one being a second encounter with the Elohim, and then what I consider the first miracle performed by Jeshua.
Wow, that'd be great. Can't wait to see that.
Yeah.
Find out
So,
about that.
before we start again, for the clarity of the story, we wanted to mention to you that Jeshua was born Yusuf. Okay, his name was Yusuf ben Yusuf, Yusuf the son of Yusuf. We have been using the term is the name of Jeshua all the time to prevent any kind of confusion. Okay, but he will be named Jeshua only much later in his life.
Okay.
So this is the end of the summer, and they are busy with the harvesting, figs, olives, grapes. So, I mean, the whole village is very busy. And
Makes me hungry.
yeah. And Yeshua's old brother and older sister are all spread in different villages, So he's by himself, and he finds the time a little bit boring, because he's used to a lot of activities and a lot of intellectual stimulation. So it's kind of
It's a little downtime
it's
for
a little
him.
downtime, yeah. So he spends a lot of time with his brother, Judah, and what they like to do at night, they like to go on top of the roof. And again, those houses didn't have a slanted roof like we know in our, hemisphere. It was more like a terrace. So they used to go there, lay down on the warm stones, and then look at the sky. And Yeshua would teach his brother Judas how to find the planet Venus. The first big star in the sky.
So where do you think he learned that from?
Well, he probably learned it from the Egyptian, because during his training in Egypt, he learned so many things, including astronomy. So I'm sure that has to do with it. So even his friend Simon, who used to be his best buddy basically in the village, is not around anymore. Apparently, Simon has been going to a school.
Oh.
Yeah. Simon is 2 or 3 years older than Yeshua. So one night, Yusuf, the father, comes to Yeshua and tells him, you better get ready. In 2 days, we're going to be climbing to the top of Mount Thabor. So that will be something interesting.
Well, that'd be exciting for him, right?
So Yeshua is finally ready. You say, oh, finally something is coming,
Right.
Maybe there will be some changes in my life, And so they leave one morning very early. It's about 2 days of walking. So between the village and the top of Mount Thabor, it's about 2 days of walking.
Well, they really got to fill up that donkey with
Yes,
stuff,
so
don't they?
the donkey is
so
carrying...
it's just the two of them?
The two of them,
Okay.
and a donkey, carrying basically the water, food, some food, and the tent, whatever they need to spend the night. And so at the end of a grueling day, of a lot of walking and everything, they finally stop somewhere and they unfold their tent, and they are ready to spend the night in the countryside. And Yeshua asked his father, Yusuf, what is the story of Mount Thabor? I mean, what's so special about it, And Yusuf basically tells him that a lot of fires are being burned on top of Mount Thabor. And Jeshua is curious, why do they burn fires on top of that big mountain,
Interesting, yes.
And Yusuf tells him that in very old times, balls of fire used to come down from the sky and land on Mount Thabor.
Interesting.
Yes.
I wonder what those balls of fire were.
Well, I guess...
I wouldn't even think that extraterrestrial, ships would have balls of fire, but I guess...
They use a different term. They call them clouds of fire,
Okay, I could see that.
because they were coming from the sky. So
Right, okay.
they were assimilating them to clouds.
So okay.
Yeah, but it was really ball of fire. And so those Elohim, those extraterrestrial people, beings, were coming, landing on Mount Thabor and teaching the ancients people of the Essenian fraternity.
Oh.
Yeah, they were, teaching them all kind of things, very useful stuff. And this is basically the same thing that happened to Egypt, right?
Right, exactly.
I mean, we saw that Yeshua went to Dendera temple where they have the Hathor, the temple of the Hathors, right?
Right.
The Hathors being another race of extraterrestrial.
Right.
Yeah.
Intelligence.
And they were so common, that even the temple of Dendera was erected as a memory for them. And all the statues you see are representing the face of the Hathors.
Right.
So that's quite
With the cow ears, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And the cow was their symbol. Yeah.
Right.
And so those Elohims, we're going to call them Elohims, basically the people who are coming from up high, were teaching the ancients for a while. And then it stopped. The whole phenomenon stopped completely. And so the ancients, were wondering, why are they not coming anymore? What happened? And in an attempt to call them, they started burning big fires on top of Mount Thabor, like a beacon, telling the extraterrestrial, hey, you know what? We are waiting for you. Please come down
Please, SOS,
and come to us. But they did not come back.
Oh.
So as a way of not forgetting what was taught, the ancients of the Essenian fraternity were writing all the teachings from the Elohims in palm leaves and scrolls, basically, right?
So you think those are some things that were found in the scrolls?
I don't know if those have been discovered, because the
They're
Akashic...
still discovering some
Yes,
of them.
yeah.
So
And
there's
the
lots of
Akashic
caves.
memories are not mentioning when or how far back in time those extraterrestrial visits were taking place. Yeah,
Okay.
so it could be hundreds, could be thousands of years.
It's interesting because we are seeing it through the eyes of Jesus.
Yes.
So it's not like he's thinking about it,
No,
or it's
no,
something
no.
that's going to get mentioned, right? So,
Right, exactly, yeah. So Yeshua has a good answer, a good question. He said, but Dad, Yusuf, if the Elohims are not coming anymore, if the balls of fire are not landing, why do you take me to Mount Thabor?
Yeah. What am I going to do there? The excitement's not there anymore.
And the answer from Yusuf is very, very nice. He said, well, and the Elohims are very discreet. They come occasionally.
Oh, okay.
And that's what it is.
Okay.
So in the morning, they start again their grueling ascension of Mount Thabor. It's very hard. They have to pull the donkey. Everything is quite steep and everything. And at one point, Yusuf is not exactly sure where they are going, if it's a right path. So he's a little bit confused and he's afraid to get lost. So he tells Yeshua, let's stop, let's sit and pray. Maybe something will come and help us.
Right.
And so they pray for a while, and then suddenly a tall man wearing the Essenian robe, the white robes, appears in the distance and waves to them.
You think it's one of the Elohims?
No, it's just a regular guy.
Oh,
not a regular guy, but his guide is coming and he's going to basically show them and take them to the top of the mountain. Okay? And his name is Elphas. He's their guide.
Okay.
And so Elphas basically brings, Yusuf, Yeshua, and the donkey all the way to the top of the mountain. And then he showed them between two rocks a little crack, and they're going to be crawling under the rocks. You really have, it's like a little hole, maybe where animals could squeeze in.
Oh my gosh!
So it is. They're on their belly, crawling on the dirt, the ground,
That'd be hard for me to do. Yeah.
And they crawl into a little tunnel and they arrive into a little room, which is
Okay.
completely dark. There is no light. Eliphaz doesn't have any light with him. There are no torches, nothing. So everything is done completely in the dark. So Eliphaz starts scraping the ground and he uncovers a grate.
Oh.
So he opens a grate and they go down a staircase.
All in the dark.
All in the dark. And Jeshua noticed that when they descend in the staircase, the steps are perfectly polished and clean,
Oh,
which is surprising, right?
right. Yeah, you wouldn't expect
No, you would not expect that, right? So after going down a little bit through that special staircase, they come into a large room, which is totally dark. I mean, there is absolutely no light. And Eliphaz is basically knowledgeable enough to know where to go, and he's their guide basically. And according to the reverberation, Yeshua can tell that the room is quite big. And so what Eliphaz is doing, again, using the sound of his voice, is leading them across that room into another little hidden door.
Oh.
I mean, it's all
Hidden.
in the dark.
Oh, it's dark, yeah.
And they get into another big room. Again, the size of the room is given by the reverberation of your voice and your breathing, right? So that's how they figure out that it is. And so Yusuf, Eliphaz, and Yeshua are sitting on the ground, and Yeshua noticed that the walls are like totally slick and smooth. They feel like marble.
I was going to say granite, marble.
Yeah, or alabaster or something like that. I mean, it's very, very sleek. And so
I wonder how they did that all in the dark.
Well, I think Eliphaz knew what he was doing.
No, but I mean, how did it even get put together?
Oh, that's another story.
Oh, okay.
Oh, we don't know about that yet.
Kind of like the Egyptians, how
But-
they did all theirs in the dark,
Yes.
supposedly, right?
Yeah, exactly.
How could they have done that in the
but
dark?
those rooms may be dating from the time when the Elohims were visiting the ancients.
And they had electricity.
No, there's no electricity at
Well,
that time.
they had electricity in Egypt.
Yeah, they had electricity in Egypt, but I don't think they had electricity in Galilee. No.
Okay. All right.
All right.
That we know of yet.
So a very long time passes, and little by little there is this tiny light which is showing in the distance in the room. Okay, and so that light goes brighten up a little bit, little by little. It's taking very long time. And to the point that Yeshua feels like it is the darkness coming up with light. It's like
Wow.
light is being created by the darkness,
Okay.
which is an interesting
Yeah.
thought,
Just interesting perspective from
And
the 6
very
year old.
interesting, yeah. So after a while, you realize that they are into a room which is cubic in shape, with a round roof. It's like a cupola, basically,
Oh.
above their head. It's a very big room, and it's completely white and smooth and slick.
Oh.
So the walls are completely,
So they get to see that then?
yeah, because the light is growing, it's like a dimmer. You are
Okay,
increasing the
yeah.
level of the light.
So they get to see all that.
So they get
Okay.
to see the entire room and everything. And at one point, a tall human form suddenly appears.
Okay.
And that form looks like a tall man, with a very feline attitude. It looks like maybe a lion or a jaguar moving. I mean, his features are human, but the way he moves, the way is very harmonious, very elegant, very smooth and fluid, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, and his skin is tanned, almost bronze-like, but Yeshua is mostly surprised by the color of his hair. He has very long hair, but extremely blonde.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you know,
probably don't see a lot of blondes.
you never saw this
Yeah,
kind of stuff
yeah. Don't see
in
too
the
many
old
blondes
days. Yeah.
back then. Yeah.
And that being is wearing a light blue and very long robe as well.
I wonder what that is.
I don't know. I mean, it's definitely the Elohim.
Yeah.
And so at one point, the Elohim gets close to Yeshua and asks him, Sananda, do you remember me?
Sananda again. Okay,
Yes.
Yeah.
So the Elohim talks to Yeshua basically using his cosmic and galactic name.
Okay. So it's a
Sananda.
Palladian again.
Could be a Palladian, could be a Syrian. I would say, based on the description, I would say probably Palladian.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So the Elohim, because we don't know exactly where he's coming from, so we're going to call him Elohim. You know, that's the name that Yeshua gives him. And so the presence invites Yeshua to come closer, and he asks him to sit on a block of alabaster. So there is, in the middle of the room, there is a block of alabaster, which is probably used for certain rituals, and so Yeshua sits on it. And then the Elohim is going to place his hands in the back of his neck, on the top, you know, between the neck and the back, basically.
Kind of like where the mouth of God is.
Right, could be, yeah.
Right.
And he's going to perform basically what is etheric surgery. So we're going to go into details about what he's doing.
Oh, okay.
So Yeshua feels, you know, his neck becoming cold and getting colder and colder, which is probably some kind of numbing, which is taking place. Yeah, exactly. And then at one point he feels a cut, an opening being made in the top of his back, you know, between the shoulder blades, for about 4 to 5 inches. Yeah.
That's pretty long.
Yeah, and he feels like a cold wind is entering his back, you know? I mean, it's like the flesh will be open.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what he feels. And at the same time, there is a light, some kind of light, which is growing inside him and goes into his brain, his skull, and into his pineal gland. I suppose there is, you know, some kind of activation of the pineal gland, which is taking place, yeah. And then Yeshua hears a voice. And the voice tells this. The voice says, your name will be Jeshua.
Oh, that's what he gets.
Okay, because we have to remember that he's still Yusuf, right, at this point, yeah. But the voice tells him, your name will be Jeshua. Are you ready to occupy this body, this name, and this life? Yeah. So it's so the voice goes on, and you know there is a kind of a sophisticated conversation taking place with a lot of questions, you know. And then at the end, the voice says, "Know that the door between you and us will be always open."
Nice. That's a good feeling.
That's a good feeling, yeah. So Yeshua feels the hand and the fingers, you know, on his back again, you know, and I think they are trying to close the wound, or the Elohim is doing something with the back, you know, and probably finishing his etheric surgery, basically, right? And so Yeshua basically, you know, is invited to stand up again and go back to his father and Eliphaz, right, in the room. And so he gets up, starts walking toward his father, and then turn around and wants to see again the Elohim presence. But the Elohim is gone.
Oh.
Yeah.
Poof. Proper smoke.
Disappeared, yeah. So, and at the same time, he's touching the back of his neck, you know, and his back, and the skin is intact. There is no traces, nothing at all. But he feels some kind of like a burning sensation, you know?
Maybe some pressure,
right?
or something
like that. Yeah. And he hears a voice also at the same time, you know, and he wonders if it has been a dream. Basically, did I dream all that, you know?
Right.
And the voice comes into his head and tells him, the dream is the world you are going back to.
Oh, true.
This now that you are living is the reality.
Wow, that's powerful.
Yeah. So there is another long conversation with Elohim, explained that basically what they did to him was adjusting some of his chakras. The chakras are, they are typically pictured by a wheel of fire or wheel of light.
Right.
They are located in different places in your body. I mean, we have 7 main chakras, but there are also a lot of secondary chakras.
Right.
Some of them being on the shoulder, on the back, in the hands, in the feet, and so forth. Yeah. So basically, what happened with the Elohim was an activation and a fine tuning of some of his chakras. That's what took place. Yeah. And then the voice also tells him, every time the path gets tight or difficult, you can call us. We'll be here to help. Yeah.
You can count on us.
So Yeshua goes back to his father and to Eliphaz, why the light is dimming again, the light is disappearing. So progressively, again, with like a dimmer, it's becoming darker and darker. And he's so exhausted after this surgery that he falls asleep next to his father, And after a while, when he gets up, he goes, Eliphaz again, take them outside, and they go out again in the open air. And basically, at this point, his father and Eliphaz turns toward Jeshua and asks him, is your back okay? I mean, do you feel anything? And Yeshua is surprised, he says, no, it's all fine. But he's also very happy because it was not a dream. And his father and a friend, basically they saw that.
Yeah.
They saw it happening. They saw it happening, yeah. So after the Mount Thabor episode, Yeshua stays about 2 months in the village. I mean, he finds things are very different. This activation that he received.
He's seeing things differently.
Well, he sees differently, and he's also perceived in a very different way.
Oh, he's perceived in a different way. Oh, I could see that, definitely.
Yeah, people find him very different. Even his parents, Miriam and Yusuf are finding him very different. And the people are looking at him in a very strange way. So obviously he's radiating something which is sometimes disturbing.
Right.
And one day...
Well, people aren't used to it. They're going to think it's disturbing, yeah.
So one day Jeshua is so puzzled by that. He asks his father, again, why are people behaving like that in front of me, And Yusuf tells him, well, I think that people are afraid of you. Oh. They don't understand what you are, and they're afraid of you.
Yeah. Poor baby.
Yeah. And at the same time, he feels also very free. I mean, Yeshua feels very free, He feels like his whole consciousness has been heightened, but he feels also constrained by the village, and the rumors and how you have to behave and what do people think about you,
all things of today still, right?
It's the village life, right?
Right.
For him, it's like a prison almost, He has to move to something else. And he realized that his mother is pregnant again.
Oh.
Yeah, so Miriam is having her 3rd baby. We don't know what it's going to be yet, but... And so, because of all these changes in his life and the way people perceive him, they are basically meeting again. There is a big meeting with the elders, Zerah, that we talked about in a previous episode, his father, and some of the wise people of the village, and they decided to have a meeting with Yeshua. And so they all sit in the room, and Yeshua is about to sit when his father tells him, no, you stay up, you stay standing, and you look at us.
Oh.
And everybody bows in front of a 7-year-old kid.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah, just to tell you.
That's kind of like with the Dalai Lama too, right?
Right, exactly.
Same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, same thing.
So everybody is respectful and bowing in front of Yeshua. Yeah. And so again, his father, as the representative of the meeting, is telling the assembly, and he's telling Yeshua, we're gonna be sending you to a special school of mystery called the Carmel. Okay.
Oh, so is that where Simon went?
Yes, that's where Simon went.
Okay.
Yes, Simon went ahead of him. And you're going to be staying there for 6 years. And it is a privilege for you to go. Because Yeshua is, 6 more years of learning, you know. He's not
I want to get to work or something. He probably doesn't
Right.
know what he's supposed to be doing. Yeah.
But, his father reminds him, it's a privilege. You're going to be going there for 6 years. And so this is something that you should be considering seriously. Yeah. And of course, Miriam is made aware of that decision. But obviously she knew about it before. And what she tells Yeshua is the following. She says, Yeshua, 6 years for Harun, it's not that long, right?
She knew how to put it.
Yes, she knew how to put it. So basically one morning, Yusuf again, Yeshua, and Isaac, a cousin of Yusuf, and a donkey, carrying all the stuff, are en route to Mount Krmel.
Oh.
So Mount Krmel, I think, does not exist anymore. I mean, I tried to find information about it on the
Wonder
web.
how far of a walk that was.
That was again a 2 days walk.
2-day walk.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a big country, but you still have to walk quite a few.
Well, I guess it's not like
miles.
walking to Egypt, right?
Yeah, exactly. No, it's not. Yeah. And so the Mount Krmel is well known today on the map. You can find it on the map of Israel. But the School of Mystery used to be built on the other side of Mount Krmel, overlooking the sea. Because from the school you could see the ocean. I mean, not the ocean, but the Mediterranean Sea.
Okay.
So that's a very interesting. Yeah. So the first night is spent in a bedside. There is no story, nothing happens, nothing bad. And then on the following day, they are walking again in direction of Mount Krmel. It's their last day of walk, basically, before getting to the school. And they meet, unfortunately, with a group of 10 Roman soldiers.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So immediately,
This can't be good.
Yeshua, he has already seen the Romans because they're all over the place. And when he came back from Egypt, they also used to go through Romans checking checkpoints,
Right.
So he knows that they are here. But Yusuf and his Isaac, are basically a little bit nervous about meeting those soldiers. And
With good reason.
so the decurion, who is the boss, I mean the chief of that little group of Roman soldiers, a decurion by definition is controlling or monitoring, managing 10 Roman soldiers, right? A centurion would manage 100 of them.
Okay.
That's where the term centurion
Oh, I
and
see.
decurion comes
Okay.
from, yeah.
Okay.
So after a negotiation, Yusuf is negotiating with talking with the decurion, and the decurion tells Yusuf, "We want your donkey and your supplies." Yeah, I mean, what can you do, right?
Such bullies, I tell you.
Yeah.
They see this little
So
kid. Whatever. Okay.
Yusuf, is refusing to give them the donkey because they have their water, they have their food,
Yeah.
and he's very, very calm, but he's also very strong in his position.
Right.
And the decurion is really getting irritated to the point that he pulls his sword and he slaps it against a tree, as a kind of
You're going to be next.
yeah, you're gonna be next if you don't give me a donkey,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. And during that time, during all this happening, Yeshua, looks on the side and sees a dead horse, a dead mule in a trench on the side of the road. So he gets close to the dead mule, and obviously the mule died from exhaustion, probably because it didn't drink enough or didn't eat enough and was too heavily loaded,
Right.
And so Yeshua describes it very strangely. He says, my hands are doing things that I do not understand. So his hands are actually unloading the mule. So he's unclipping, removing all the straps, and removing all the stuff that was on the mule.
The dead mule.
The dead mule, yes.
Okay.
And then his hands are starting to levitate above his body and touch his body, touch the neck of the mule, touch the head of the mule, and he's really not controlling what he's doing. I mean, the hands are there and they are doing everything. And at one point, the Decurion, seeing that, grabs the shoulder of Yeshua and tries to pull him back. But Yeshua turns around and looks at him. And his gaze is so penetrating that the Decurion releases his grip. And Yeshua says, I saw his soul, and he was small, little, and ridiculous.
Did he say it to
Yeah,
him?
that's what
I
he
saw
would-
your soul small and ridiculous. I like that. I'm going to have to try to remember that.
Yeah. So the Decurion is basically, surprised, and there is a complete silence. All the soldiers are watching what is happening. I mean, look, you have a dead mule on the ground, and this little kid who is moving his hands all over the mule after pushing back the Decurion, right? So they're wondering what's going on. And then at one point, Yeshua is actually thrown backwards from the mule, and the mule comes back to life.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, and
So that's the miracle.
that's a miracle.
Okay.
And the mule starts, getting itself on his four legs, and the Decurion is screaming. He's saying, "I told you that this mule was not dead." And the Decurion is so irritated that he grabs his sword and slices the throat of the mule,
Oh my
killing
gosh.
it a second time.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so the blood spills all over the place, and poor Yeshua, who is next to the mule,
I'm sure he's devastated.
his whole robe
Yeah. Oh my
is
gosh.
you
Oh my gosh.
stained with the blood from the mule. Yeah. And of course, this time the mule dies.
Yeah.
Spilling all its blood on the ground. Yeah. So finally, after this horrible incident, the Romans are still taking the donkey, the water, and the supplies.
Leaving him out there with nothing.
Yes, with nothing. Or, I mean, I think Yusuf had a little bit of food on a backpack or something like that he had with him. And the Decurion is saying, be happy that we are not killing you, but we are taking everything. It is for service to Caesar.
Oh jeez. I better zip my mouth.
And that, our three protagonists, Yeshua, his father Yusuf, and Isaac the cousin, continue their walk toward the School of Mysteries at Mount Krmel. Yeah. And I think for the first time, Yeshua is confronted with the insanity of the Roman presence in his country.
Right.
Yeah. And some kind of a prayer comes to him, and this is just an excerpt of it, but the prayer says, when death is more powerful than life, Father, may you blow your wind into our souls and our hearts. So after that, they just continue their little pilgrimage to the school.
Okay.
And that will be, he's going to stay basically 6 years in that school, from the age of 7 to the age of 13.
Does the book discuss what he learned there?
Yes, so we're going to
okay.
be spending some time basically talking about the School of Mystery of Krmel.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, because he's going to be, again, encountering Simon, in
Right.
the school,
Mm-hmm.
and all the stuff, and many other people. Anyway, so we will go into details about what he's learning and how basically the personality of Yeshua is coming to be Yeshua.
Right. So it's interesting, his encounter with the Roman, the Elohim,
Mm-hmm.
Everybody in the village looking up to him. I mean, there's a lot right now going on for this young
Yes.
man, very young boy. I
Young
should
boy,
say, not even a young
7
man.
years old, yeah.
He's 7 years old. I
Yeah.
mean, just to even think about
Yeah.
something like that happening with him right now is.
I mean, you have a grandchild of 7-year-old, right?
Right. Yes, I
Yeah,
couldn't imagine.
You can imagine it.
But Yeshua did come in to.
Yes, of course.
I mean, he knows his mind is
Yes.
older than
He
7 years old.
He came in
and,
full consciousness,
right.
Yeah.
It's totally different.
Totally different, yeah.
It's very-
From what we have
yeah.
been, and what we can see around us.
Yeah, I mean, we don't even know what it's like to be born to conscious parents,
No.
right?
Mhm.
I mean, we weren't even conscious parents, It's like, you might have been more conscious, I don't know, but it's like, it's amazing different upbringing you can have
Yes.
if you do have.
Yeah. And I hope that our audience realize that the importance of Yusuf, the father, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how the father is pivotal in absolutely essential in the upbringing of Yeshua, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Much more than his mother.
Right. Well,
Yeah,
especially at that time, I think she wouldn't have been able to protect him like
No,
that.
she could not have. But
Yeah.
but Yusuf is very well respected. He's very calm, very wise, and he's really imposing to other people. He's not the little carpenter, that the scriptures are
Kind of
describing.
like when the Romans wanted to take that.
Yeah,
And
he was
like,
standing in front of them and saying no,
Yeah.
no.
Mhm. It was good. I love what Yeshua said to him. I looked into your soul. It's very small.
It's small and ridiculous.
No, I love that. I'm gonna have to try to remember that.
Well, he never said that to the Roman, but that's what he thought.
That's
And
what he was
again,
thinking.
The Akashic memories are giving us the memory and the mind of Yeshua.
He might not have said it to him, but you can't tell me that Roman didn't feel it.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
he was probably
He
like,
did feel it.
I think I'm gonna do something bad here.
Yeah,
'Cause
why would a Decurion,
right.
go back
Yeah.
and be repelled by a 7-year-old
Yeah.
guy,
Yeah.
7-year-old
he
boy
felt it.
looking at him,
It's kind of like when Mama Bear looks at you when
Yeah.
you're in trouble.
Exactly, yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much for tuning in, and please like and subscribe, and we'll be back in a few days maybe.
Yeah, maybe in a few
With-
days, and
with
we'll talk
some
about
more.
the School of Mysteries and
Yeah.
the Krmel.
I can't wait for that.
Yeah.
I want to know what he's learning there. Thank you.